Hello and welcome to the HL7 Europe webinar on the International Working Group meeting in May in Madrid, and of course the role that Europe is playing in that International Working Group meeting. We have an exciting lineup of speakers here, and we're going to get to each of them in turn. Giorgio Rangioli, Kai Heitmann, Roberta Gazzarata, and Stefano Dalmiani. And very high representation of Italians here today, and that's great. And we'll get to everything in due course. A couple of housekeeping items. So my name is Michael Strubin. I am your facilitator today. The webinar will be recorded. We will share the recording and the slides in PDF with you in a few days. Yes, I think we will be very fast with that. And all attendees are muted by definition, so you can't unmute or show your video. But you have the option, the powers to react to the presentations by either using the emojis or by putting in comments in the chat. So we would like to invite you to do so. If you want to give us there also a preview of any questions that you may have, that would also be appreciated. If you have a question, please let us know by raising the hand. We have a Q&A session at the end of this meeting, but if you have any immediate questions, and maybe the best way to do so, to indicate so, is if you use the chat, then we may be able to ask to open the channel for any immediate questions after each speaker in turn. So let's look into that as we go forward. We're glad that so many of you joined here today. I think it's great. And with that, we're going to the overall working group meeting introduction. So that falls on me. And just 2 slides. All of you, because you've signed up for this webinar, you're probably aware of the working group meeting. It's happening in Madrid. And there are 2 elements to this working group meeting. There's the Connectathon, Saturday and Sunday, 10 to 11th of May. And then there is the working group meeting in the same location, going from Sunday to Friday, the 11th to the 16th of May, 2025. And all of this is happening in the same hotel, the Rio Plaza España in Madrid. What are working group meetings? They are held 3 times per year at varying locations. They have the 2 purposes of providing international working groups a chance to meet face-to-face and to provide an educational resource for the healthcare IT community. The agenda is shaping up. It's still in development, but we have already secured 25 education sessions, more than 35 working group meetings, and plenty of networking opportunities. I have the registration button if you're not yet registered, but I trust many of you are. But if you're not, there will be another link to the registration page at the end of this meeting. And with that, without much further ado, we'll go right to Giorgio Rangioli from HL7 Europe, the technical lead, who will discuss the EHDS track in the Connectathon. Giorgio, over to you.
Thank you so much, Michael. Let me try to take the control. Let's hope to be able to move to the next slide. So good afternoon, everyone, and good morning, because I see that there are also some people from US. Welcome. What I would like to present to you is the EL data space track that will happen at this working group meeting connected in Madrid. For the few of you that do not know what a Connectathon is a very nice event where you can develop hands-on your development and testing of FHIR resources. Is a place where you can try to work together with the people that develop the IG that you might be interested in, to get in touch with a senior member of HL7 and with those that develop the standard. So you have a lot of things you can learn during this event. What implemented development can do is a place where you can have informal technical discussion to help the the improvement of the HL7 FHIR specification and IEGs, is a place where you can test your early adopter solution based on FHIR, and where you can also exercise your interface exchanging data. The connectathon are organized in tracks. What is a track? Track means that you have some topic focus session that might be focused on a specific set of resources that you would like to increase the maturity. It could be FHIR implementation guide or a specific use case that you would like to investigate. The track that I'm the pleasure to colleague with other colleagues is the HL data space track. So why you should be there? Because it's a good opportunity to learn about the implementation guide that are being developed in support of the HL data space. You can try to validate your example, your implementation, and help us to improve the specification. As I was saying, you can make some exercise your early adopter as an early adoption implementation. You can help us to discover possible gap in the specification, and also is a good opportunity to understand better the specification and help us to make them more clear. Also trying to highlight possible changes that you have in implementing that IGs, and also through informal discussion based on your experience, and also is a good opportunity to make questions to the people that develop the spec. What the track is about. The track is about the priority categories for primary use that are defined in the health data space regulation that you know, I believe, better than me at this point in time. But this is just a summary of what they are. You have patient summary, discharge report, medical imaging study, e-prescription and e-dispensation, and medical test result. These are the ecosystem of HL7 Europe guide that are going to be developed in support of the health data space. We have core profile in the extension package that is used by the hospice chart report, the patient summary, the lab result, the medical imaging report guide, and the e-prescription and e-dispensation guide. Lab report has been already published. We hope to be able to have the ballot out before the connectathon for the hospital report, the core profile, and the e-prescription and dispensation. The guide is called MPD, Medicinal Medication Prescription and Dispense. And the patient summary is derived from the IPS, so is we can connect that to also the IPS track. Is also an opportunity to test the cross-border specification, the MyHealth.EU1, in particular lab report, hospital report, and imaging. But not only that, this is just to show that the relationship that exists between the HL7 Europe guide and the cross-border, both of them are based on the EL network guideline specification, but the MyHealth.EU IG is a specialization of the European one. So testing, you can test the cross-border specification, and based on that, you can also get feedback on the parent guide. As I was saying, is also an opportunity to test the HL yellow button. That is a product of the HL project, in which we try to reuse for enabling number of person to exchange the content foreseen by the EL data space regulation using a click of button. There is no predefined approach. The idea is to have subgroup working on that. This also depends on how many people will be registering for the track. We can try to organize subgroup per domain, so lab report, hospital report, prescription and dispense, and productivity. There are some people that might be more interested in testing their implementation, other in learning a little bit more, other in discussing specific topics. So we could combine considering these two dimensions. We will have some common breakout session in which everyone is invited, in which we can discuss all together about the lesson learned and issue that we have identified. These are where you can find more information. If you go to the Confluence page, you can go and find general information about the event. Sorry if I'm able to, okay, so resynchronize. You can go there and you find also a video for orienting the newcomer. And if you want to have, okay, and we told that it can be clickable. So, okay, if you click on the link, you can go directly to the guide. I can put in the chat if this might be helpful for the, for example, let me put in the chat the link of the EL data space track, at least that one. This is where you can register. The site is Madrid. The data are those that has been already mentioned, and the cost depend of if you are a member or not of an HL7 Europe affiliate or HL7 International, and depending if you are registering before I suppose the 18, but it could be corrected. So it depends on the time if you can take advantage of the early bird registration. I hope to see most of you there, and if you have any question, I'll be more than happy to reply to provide more detail. Thank you so much. Back to you.
Thank you, George. I think this is great. Quick thing, because you dutifully put in CEST next to the timings. Clearly, this is local time, but also clearly, an online participation is not possible in neither the Connectathon or the working group meetings. Is that correct?
Yes, it is.
That's what I thought. Good. I think then we're going to our next, if there are no questions, and my dear friends and attendees, you're very quiet today. Giorgio and I are the only ones in the chat. Please give a little bit of an applause here. You can do so by going into, I think, yeah, here we go. You were faster than me in terms of finding the emojis. Let's go to Kai Heidmann. Kai, you've already unmuted and put yourself on video. Please take control of the slide deck, and the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Hopefully you can see the slides. I would like to talk a little bit about a session track in Madrid that is dealing with the European interoperability specifications that we just heard from Giorgio, that are tested at the FHIR Connectathon. They're also applicable for the European health data space. And we want to report and discuss a few challenges and achievements. One thing is that we already started this discussion at the HL7 Europe working group meeting in February in Lisbon. And it was a well-attended session. And we had also, let's say, presentations from various countries who reported their challenges to have nationally implemented specifications, and what the experiences are, and the bottlenecks and challenges and questions and answers and so on. So we did that together with a few people, representatives from these countries. And we found that there are a lot of other questions, and I have a list later that we might discuss. So we decided to have a continuation meeting in Madrid for everybody who's there. And one thing that, or some topics that we want to discuss is and found useful to continue that discussion is about the visualization of FHIR resources. And that deals partially with the idea that we have a transition from CDA to FHIR, where CDA requires text at many places. And in FHIR, because that's the next generation standard, text is also necessary and should be there, but there's no real requirement. So how to deal with text compared to CDA, that should be eventually the same. And some requirements to regulate the human text on a national level that were already identified. So that is one part of the discussion that we need to lead and to go on, because I see a lot of FHIR resource data around the world that has virtually no text in it. And we need to have a guidance on that, how to do that in this context of the HDS. The second area will cover the terminology, server and experiences. We'll have a report from Poland about LOINC as a common dictionary for diagnostic services. And also we have a terminology server at HL7 Europe in place, where we get some more information. The next area is also a very interesting one that we identified. We will have, and Giorgio mentioned that already, European base and core profiles that are the base for any other specification in the European health data space area coming from HL7 Europe. The question is, how can we identify the differences between different, let's say, European specifications in preparation of creating those core and base profiles? That's already work that we have already done. But also, how can we identify the differences and document the differences and relationships between the European base and core profiles and the often existing national specifications? So what is a proper way to discuss that, and what could be a tool that we could use in order to identify the differences? That helps others in other countries to find their own way through the, let's say, different hierarchies of profiles that exist in Europe and in the world. And the last part will be about testing and validation. We had also several sessions in Lisbon about testing and validation. If you are a FHIR expert, your world is maybe ending at when you have created a FHIR IG, a FHIR implementation guide, but that's actually not the end. In order to make this come to life, people need to implement that and test that, and at the end create a product. So testing and validation is the natural continuation of creating specifications. And how can that be done? Well, that's not new, because that's done for years, for a long time. And that's also the reason why HL7 Europe has a strong collaboration with HL Europe, working on this continuum of specification, testing, validation, and product. And we will introduce a few aspects there. I think I have a slide here. So just to make it on a graphical view, the whole thing starts with an idea or requirements that are documented in a proper way. You create then models to document that more formally. You create a specification in FHIR, and at the end you have a FHIR implementation guide. But as I said, that's not the end of the story. You then go over and have testing and validation scripts. You do connectathons and other events, not primarily focusing on the specification, but on products. So that's exactly the same thing. And I think maybe that's, as an addition, can show a little bit. For specification, the FHIR connectathon is the focus, and for products, connectathons and product connectathons and certifications are aiming at to the end of the whole continuum, and that's a product. That's something that we want to discuss also with everybody, because this is an important step in the European specification world that we need to take. And one idea is to have a consistent, standardized way on all these specifications and parts that are needed in order to come to a product. We have also identified in Lisbon at least some topics. If you think one of these topics that are listed here is something where you want to talk about, please contact me. My email is also shown at the end and everywhere. So we have some other topics identified. Not yet put into a program, but we have a little bit space in time and in rooms to do this if there is the need for discussion about some of these topics. Talking about time, room and time. So we will meet at least on Thursday, May the 15th in Q3, which is 1:45 p.m. to 3 p.m. And if other topics are also there, we could take also Q2, which is then the last morning quarter. Please stay tuned to look at the program, what our decisions are here, but Q3 is set as our, let's say, quarter for the topics that I just mentioned before. And just as a little preview on our slides here, Hospitals on FHIR will meet on Q4, and Stefano will talk later about this event. I think this concludes my slide. Of course, as a European, join us at the HL7 International Working Group meeting in Madrid, and join also the HL7 Europe sessions. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kai. That's great, and all of you are staying very close to the lower threshold that I gave you all for presenting. So that's great. We may get done really fast if our attendees continue to have very little interest in the in asking any questions. But let's see about that. I'm going to take now back control, and I'm going to advance to the next speaker. And that will be Roberta. Roberta, please, you take control of the slide deck, and the floor is yours. You will talk to us about the cancer data model session. Go ahead.
Yes, thanks, Michael. So good afternoon, everybody, or good morning, depending on where you are. So yes, the topic of our session is about the European cancer data model that we are trying to create. So what is our idea? We are dreaming of a future where the data interoperability can really transform the cancer care and research, namely to improve the cancer patient outcomes and empower the collaboration between European countries to create new innovation solutions. So the journey started during the first HL7 Europe working group meeting that we had in Athens last year, when we started a survey activity basing on the comparison between the data model adopted by different European project or national project that works on the topic of cancer. Then the result of this survey was used as a starting point for start a working group that was created during the last HL7 Europe working group meeting that we had in February in Lisbon. Thanks to the results, to the survey, we understood that there are a lot of data models developed by different projects to support different needs, and all these data models are very heterogeneous. So in addition, we found all the other important results, as it's very difficult to understand what is the real data availability in the involved care facility electronic health record. So we have to consider all this aspect. In addition, the most of the projects are based on the secondary data use. And there are some aspects as the need to have a redundancy in a data model to allow to clinician and researcher to facilitate the queries. And a fundamental aspect is that it is important to support the secondary data use to be able to reconstruct the patient journey. Not only the patient journey, but also, most important, the cancer journey, to be able to understand the history of the disease. So starting from the first diagnosis to the end of treatment and the patient and the treatment of the patient. Another fundamental aspect is that it is very difficult to map information that are stored in adopting different standards, for example, OMOP or HL7 FHIR. So for this reason, we decided to create this group with the aim to create a data model. It was agnostic to all type of cancer. And really, we decided to focus on the beginning solid cancer and on adult patient, with the idea that this data model can be usable across different use cases, basing on the experience that we had in a different European project or a national project that works both in primary or in the secondary use of data, and then consider the real availability of the data in the care facilities in electronic format. So the idea is that we want to use an incremental approach. So starting from a limited small of set of let's say data, so limited concept, and then extend with a different iteration cycle. The idea is that this data model can then be used by different standard development organizations to create and formalize specifications. So the idea is that we, as HL7 Europe, we will create an HL7 Europe Cancer Common FHIR Implementation Guide, but the idea is that having the same conceptual model and logical model, it could be possible to support the map between all these standards. Okay, so where we are, as mentioned, the group was born this year, so at the beginning of February. But we have already three calls in which we have the opportunity to revise the first result that we get in Lisbon. So in particular, we working on the definition of the cancer patient journey. And we are working on a conceptual model. Here you can see the first draft of this conceptual model, and here you have the link of our Confluence page. I think I can put it also in the chat. Yes, no. Okay. So here in this slide, in this Confluence page, you can read all about our group. So let's see in details what is our scope, what is our result, and what you have already achieved and what we want to make as next step. Next step we want to continue to work on a conceptual level to define the so-called European Cancer Common Conceptual Model, then pass to a logical model. So starting from the conceptual one to try to understand what are the real attributes that must be used for each entity that was defined in the conceptual model, and then start to work on an HL7 FHIR implementation guide. So the idea is that we will have three mainstream, and everyone can decide at what initiative want to contribute depending on the background that he had. So the idea is that in the first phase we are searching for researcher or clinicians or expert in the oncology domain to understand, let's say, the domain, the complete domain. And then the idea is that we will ask also for clinician to ask to collaborate when we'll implement the technical specification. Another important aspect is that during the event in Madrid, we hope to have the opportunity to collaborate, to ask for a collaboration with the Minimal Common Oncology Data Element Working Group, that it's an US initiative that implemented the specific FHIR implementation guide on the oncology domain. But is not usable in our European context for different reasons. One is that it's based on US specification. It is based only on the primary use of data. It is very patient-centered, so it is difficult to reconstruct the patient journey, and is platform dependent. So it cannot be useful to allow to map information from one standard to another one. So the idea is that we were asked to ENCODE to collaborate with the final goal to create an international cancer common data model, and then an HL7 International Cancer Common FHIR implementation guide. So we will have 4 sessions, all in Thursday, 13 May. So the idea is that we will have first slot, one and a half each one. The room will be Retiro. And considering the relevant that is this group, so for the ones that are not member of HL7, HL7 International decided to create a very special discount code that allows to have a 50% discount to attend our session. So for everybody that is interested can ask me to have it. So I hope to see some of you in the event, and thank you for your attention. Michael, I think that I can.
Roberta, thank you, Roberta. Thank you,
Yeah.
Roberta. I think this has been quick and concise. And yes, our attendees are waking up. I see some clapping hands. Annabelle is asking whether which date to choose to attend the working group meeting. And clearly Thursday should be among the front runners when you run your cancer sessions. Thank you very much. And with that, and thank you also to Annabelle and Eva to indicate to us that indeed we're not talking to a black hole, but that there are people out there attending us and reacting to what we have to present. And hopefully you're going to join us for a Q&A at the end of the session. But before that, we have Stefano Dalmiani joining us. Stefano, please take control. You're going to talk to us about the hospitals on fire session. Stefano, over to you.
Thank you, Michael, and welcome everybody. Let's give a look at the hospital on fire and what Hospital on Fire doing about the HDS. which is really a hot topic right now. So in a nutshell, Hospital on Fire is a community, a virtual community of practice, formally, of organization. And these organizations are any healthcare provider, starting from the general practitioner, primary care, and of course also hospital, but also research hospital. And this is a particular focus that we will see later. This is somehow associated to, of course, IT solution provider. So also IT solution provider is a member, are members, associated members of Hospital on Fire. And Hospital on Fire, this community is oriented on studying and exploring and supporting, of course, the adoption of HL7 FHIR, but how? In a very peculiar way, because we try to see what the other hospital, what the other healthcare provider are doing about FHIR, what the IT solution provider are doing, and we can learn from the experience of other adopters, sharing this kind of knowledge, how we can support, how we can adopt FHIR. So this is a form, of course, of cooperation. We are right now 120 healthcare providers across Europe, many countries of Europe, as you can see from this map. Also out of Europe, abroad in Mexico. And you can see also this map in the Hospital on Fire website. You have the URL address in the bottom part of the slide, but also IT companies that supports, of course, the implementation of FHIR around Europe. We have also many national supporters. We call them ambassadors because essentially they support the connection between the national specification. They translate somehow the national specification, national rules, also local rules for the FHIR adopters. So they somehow connect this kind of gap between solutions and the real world. And we have in several countries these people that helps a lot in organizing also the contents in the several workshops that we had in the last few months, and that perhaps some of you has already followed. What's next? In Madrid, we have decided to talk about the HDS on May 15. On Q4 in the room that Kai, thank you, mentioned, that is Madrid 1, starting from 3:30 p.m. We will talk about how hospital will deal with the HDS. Right now, the HDS is something that is not very detailed, not very known around the healthcare provider, the basic also healthcare provider, but also research centers. So we have several doubts that we can discuss with the regulators, with the implementers, with the other hospitals, and try to understand which might be the best way to implement the HDS. What is the relationship between HL7 FHIR and the HDS? This is something that, of course, is in relation with the Giorgio session. So I suggest to follow also the Giorgio session when they talk about the HDS in order to have some kind of background there and start discussing with us some real world problems. So what about vocabularies? What about national constraints that everybody, all of us has implementing FHIR in the national context, of course. So we talk about this starting with a brief session that will introduce the HDS and of course Hospital on FHIR, and then with the round table we will try to brainstorm our way out about the HDS and future evolution and hospital capability that we foresee might be able to follow the HDS regulation that will be detailed in the next few months and years. So I invite all of you that is currently not a member to join Hospital on FHIR. It's free. Essentially, you just need to compile the form that you have on the website under the Join Us page. Please read also the terms of reference, a few pages, but is the background for our community to share information at the same level between peers, essentially. And you are more than welcome to join our community. Thank you. I give back the floor to Michael.
Thank you very much. As you all have been really super fast in your presentation, so thank you very much. We're running ahead of time. Let's move to, I think, the next, and I need to also take control now of the slide deck. This is now the moment when we want to have an audience Q&A. Is there anybody in this webinar that has any questions? And before we go to that, and I'll give you a little bit of time to gather your courage and press that raise hands that's in the middle of your menu items. I should say, indeed, as we just noted in the chat, the cancer sessions that Roberta was presenting will all be happening on Tuesday, not Thursday, the 13th of May. So let the record reflect it. We'll fix that in the slide deck, and hopefully you all, and especially Annabelle, will take that into account when she chooses the right day to choose to attend the working group meeting. With that, are there any questions? Is anybody interested in asking Giorgio, Kai, Roberta, or Stefano any questions regarding the upcoming things and the upcoming European elements of the working group meeting in Madrid? And I should perhaps note here, this is not everything European that we've covered here. These are just the sessions that are run or managed by the HL7 Europe team. There's a whole session, for example, on Spanish regions on FHIR. There's, of course, also other sessions on Australia on FHIR, and, of course, many other sessions that cover standards from a global perspective. So there is a lot of Europe in this international working group meeting, and there's more that meets the eye. Feel free to go into the agenda and study what sessions could be of interest to you, because, of course, it's an amazing and unique experience to interact with the HL7 Europe community. It's not often that they come to Europe, so this is your chance. And you don't have this often an opportunity to meet our speakers and ask your questions directly. So maybe a final round or a last chance. Any questions for Giorgio, for Kai, for Roberta, or Stefano? I hear none. Maybe all of you are eager to move back to your day jobs or any other activities. Then just as a final item here is again the link to register for the working group meeting. Keep in mind the early bird rate ends on the 18th of May. That's, I think, Friday, close of business. So if you plan to register, I think you're really realizing some savings. We hope to, and particularly our speakers here, look forward to seeing you. And if and I invite all of our speakers to maybe put yourself back on video. We hope to see you. And with that, thank you so much from all of our speakers. And we hope to see you. And a warm thank you to all of you. And we're now going to say goodbye and hopefully au revoir and see you in Madrid. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.